Very excited to be back. I have taken a 2-week hiatus from YouTube for spring break with my kids, but I am back and we are going to be doing some objection handling training. It was the #1 request on my Instagram page, and you had specifically requested for objections in the first 30 seconds of your outbound calling. So here's the thing, guys, with outbound calling and putting yourself in the environment of a call center, okay? Whether you're doing it on your cell phone, whether you're doing it through a computer system, a dialer, a CRM, it doesn't matter. The first thing that you have to understand is the mentality of what it actually takes to be successful in outbound calling. And you should have realistic expectations for that. And once you know what those expectations are, you should be able to implement. If you cannot implement it, it doesn't matter what you do, you aren't going to be successful. So what I did this morning is I spent an hour making outbound calls and wanted to see the results that I would get, because it's been a while since I've been in the system. And if I just pull up my numbers here, I made 87 dials in an hour. I had contacted 8 people, so that's a 12.5% contact rate, which I think is a really, really good answer rate when you're doing outbound calling with internet leads. From those 8 contacts, let's see, I wrote this down. I had 4 people tell me that to put them on the do not call list. I had 1 that said they inquired for the $150,000 stimulus, whatever that means. I had 1 say they already purchased and I couldn't do anything to get them to overcome that. Another 1 said they wanted Section 8 funding. And then I had 1 person that said they were interested, and I was able to transfer that person over to one of my agents working today. So here's the thing. Before we talk about how to overcome objections, you have to understand the numbers. And if you are making less than 100 dials in a day, you will fail. I just made 87 dials in 1 hour. And if I hadn't transferred that 1 person to my agent, I probably would still be on the phone with her, you know, talking to her about a policy and possibly selling her, would be my guess. I don't know. She sounded very interested. So for 87 in this example, I had 1 possible sale. You should probably have the expectation that it takes 100 dials to make 1 sale, because you might contact 10 to 15 of those, but how many of those are you actually going to get into a presentation? And it's not easy, right? When I was in there outbound dialing, when I first started, I would easily make 300 to 400 dials a day. And it didn't seem like that much work, but for some reason, I don't really understand it. I see daily dials of less than 50. Maybe it's because you're on the phone. That's possible. But I think that the muscle memory of sitting put, hitting the call button over and over and over and over again until someone answers the phone is something that a lot of people can't do. You can't just get up and walk around and take breaks after every 10 to 15 dials. That's not going to work. You actually have to stay put, act like you have a job in your house, and you are going to, for 1 hour, you're going to sit there and make as many calls as you can make until you get someone on the phone. You're going to put in as much effort as you can when someone does answer the phone. And hopefully one of those will allow you to engage in a conversation. So my test, once again, 87 dials, 12.5% contact rate, 1 person I was able to engage into a conversation. And that's not because I'm significantly better than you guys are at sales. I did my best to try to overcome the ones that inquired on something that I can't help them with. But I think you have to give yourself some grace, and you have to understand that you're not going to be able to overcome every single objection that you get, I apologize. And that some of the leads you're going to get inquired when they thought it was something else. And that's the reality. And that is why lead volume is the #1 key to success, because I don't have to worry about that I'm going to run out of leads to call. I don't have to worry about that, oh no, I only have a list of 100 or 200 or 500 leads. And once I call through them, I have to start all over, right? My system has the ability to feed me leads when it's time to call them, and I will literally never run out. So I don't have that pressure. I don't have that stress about wasting a lead because they inquired on something that had nothing to do with life insurance, right? With that said, I think there are a few techniques that you can use to help engage more people into a conversation with you if you don't sound like such a scripted robot, if you don't sound unengaged, if you don't sound like an unhappy social worker, right? These are all things that matter when it comes to allowing the person on the other end of the phone to be curious enough to want to continue to hear what you have to say. So a couple people that I did end up getting on the phone, they answered the phone in a very, very annoyed way. Hello, right? And you can tell when someone has negative energy when they're answering the phone. And so I chose to respond to those people differently than I did to someone who answered the phone in a, polite and non-aggressive way. So with those people, I would say, hi, Richard. Hey, Richard, this is just Dana calling. I'm sorry. I was wondering if you can maybe help me out for a minute. And then all the times that they answered the phone angry, they said something like, yeah, what do you need? Or how can I help? None of them hung up on me. I think that's really important for you to understand. So I got permission to engage. Then I continued to say, well, I noticed you may have inquired online to possibly look at some protection options for you and your family. And I just had a chance to get back to you to see if I could help. Some of them I said, protection options for you and your family. And by the way, has your phone been ringing off the hook lately? And normally they would say, yeah, I've had 17 calls in the last 24 hours. And that would give me an opportunity to engage with them that way. Man, I'm so sorry. That must be incredibly frustrating for you. It's like you push one button and the whole world wants to sell you something now, right? They say yes. Of course they say yes. Now I take it away. Well, to be honest, Richard, I don't even know if what I do can even help you yet. Were you actually looking at some options to protect your family if you were to pass away? So now I've been on the phone with them for a couple of minutes. I've lowered their walls. They know that I'm not aggressive. And now, depending on the response that I get, will be my opportunity to actually overcome that objection. So one of them said, yeah, but I already purchased. And my response was, oh, wonderful. So, typically when people are shopping online, they normally price shop and they like to compare pricing just to make sure they have the best program available to them. Was that true for you? And he said, yeah, I already did my comparison. I'm not interested anymore. And then immediately hung up on me. So I had no chance to engage once again. I did try to call him back and I got straight to his voicemail. So I think what's really important in this video is I'm trying to normalize the inevitable, right? You're not going to be able to overcome every single objection that you get, but did I let that person affect my next call? No. I acted with the same energy, the same integrity, the same tonality in every single call as I would whether or not I just got beat up 10 times. And I think that when you guys are making outbound calls and you get this rejection, you allow it to eat away at you. You allow yourself to feel the negativity. You allow yourself to feel that defeat. And then you take that feeling and you bring it into your next call. And you might have had someone now that was interested, but because that energy affected your tonality and affected the way that you engaged with the next prospect, you're going to continue to get more and more negative results. So the person that I got that said that they thought they were inquiring because there was some Section 8 funding available to them, they still engaged in a conversation with me. And I said, I understand that can be frustrating. You click one button and now all of a sudden you get calls for all sorts of things. So it's just my job to figure out if I can help you at all in any way. Do you currently have anything in place to protect your family if you were to pass away? And she said no, and we were able to engage in a conversation, but unfortunately she doesn't have a bank account and she's homeless. So there really wasn't anything I could do about that, but it was a win for me because even though she thought she inquired on something else, I was still able to engage with her and allow her to talk to me that even though that's not what she inquired on, she was possibly still interested in looking at some options. So I'm just going to run down through some popular objections that we have in our script so that you can try and use it moving forward. I don't remember inquiring. Oh, yeah, that's not uncommon. It looks like you may have possibly inquired online with one of our partners about maybe possibly protecting your family if you were to pass away. Are you actually looking at getting some protection for your family at this point? And the reason that we want to ask that, and we don't need to skip that and go, but I show your date of birth is this and your address is this, is because that's what every single person is doing that's calling them. If you're talking to someone who's getting 17 calls and all of them are verifying date of birth and address, well, it's just going to make them think that, well, my date of birth and address is just public information. That doesn't necessarily mean that I inquired and that's why you have it. I'm getting too many calls. This is a great opportunity for you to sympathize and empathize with someone. Man, I'm so sorry. That must be super frustrating for you. It's like you push one button and the whole world now wants to sell you something. Allow them to engage in that. Allow your customer to get their frustration out and then say, you know, I'm not sure if what we do can actually help you yet. But were you actually looking at possibly getting some option for your family if you were to pass away? I don't have time. Of course, that's not a problem. I guess if you just have a minute or two now, just to see if what we do can even help and if it even makes sense for me to call you back later. Would that be okay? I'm not interested. Oh, of course, that's not a problem. And if you don't mind me asking, because I don't want to assume, what caused you to inquire for information in the first place? I already have insurance. Yeah, that's not uncommon. I guess just so I can better understand, what caused you to start looking for some additional protection if you already have insurance in the first place? I already took care of that. Oh, of course, that's not a problem. Can I ask what you mean by you already took care of that? All right, so that is just a few objections that you're going to get in the beginning. Some of them you may be successful with, some of them you won't. There might even be other objections you get that we didn't cover today, but I think the point of this video and the point of this training is that it's not about successfully overcoming every single objection you get. It's putting in the work, putting in the time, making the dials, having the connections, having the conversations so that you can find the people that are interested, that did inquire, and that you can help them overcome whatever false objection they have because they didn't want to talk to you. I think because of the way I come across with people and my soft tonality, that it doesn't make people want to run away. The people that did actually inquire, that want the information, they do want to talk to me because I make them feel safe. And you need to make them feel safe too.